Welcome back to another episode of Off Hours with Bourbon Lens, and today we are talking to one of our favorites, and I truly do mean that. We're headed out to Nevada, not Nevada. I got to remind all the folks about that, and we're going to talk to Colby Frey of Frey Ranch Distillery. So, Colby, how are things going in Nevada in the heat of summer?
Great, yeah. Thanks for having me, Jake. We're right now we're irrigating all of our corn. And alfalfa, we're actually irrigating 4 different places at once right now, which is kind of a, ping-ponging back and forth between all these fields and stuff. But it's great. We're getting everything wet. Everything's planted. Everything's growing great, looking nice and green on the field. So we're happy. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a good day when when the plants are happy and you're happy, right? Like that's a good thing. And so, We've talked to you all many a times. And I know Ashley, your better half's not there. Ashley's out doing things for the business right now. And we've talked a lot about, farming and the distillate part. But, today I really want to figure out and talk to you about being a dad and how you balance that and how you balance being a husband, because you got a lot of things. Like farming is not easy. That is waking up at the butt crack of dawn, literally, and making sure your crops are ready. And then you have to balance that with, 2 kiddos and a wife. So, my first question for you today is how do you think about balancing your day to make sure you're getting that intentional time with your family?
Yeah, that used to be really hard for me. Like when we were first starting, I just felt like I had to work all the time, and we were building and trying to get this snowball rolling. And so I feel like lately I've gotten a lot of really good people on the farm and the distillery and that I really count on and can rely on to help do the day-to-day stuff. I come in and try to help with the big picture stuff and the hard to do stuff. And what I've really learned is it's hard because we live on the farm and we live right next to the distillery. So it's really hard to separate yourself from them. And I haven't been able to do that until here recently. And I really try to be present, like with my kids and Ashley, my wife. We have a 6-year-old boy and a 9-year-old little girl. And so I really try to pay attention to them. And I really try to include, my little boy loves going outside and helping and stuff like that. So when we do go out to do some work or whatever, I try to include him and let him come with me to go irrigate and things like that. And really try to incorporate him into the ranch so that he's also part of the ranch, not just, it's not just home time when I'm with them and then the ranch time, where I try to include them in that part too,
Yeah. So does he have a nice big belt buckle like you do yet?
He actually does. So my parents, or I think my parents bought me one when I was about his age, a little belt, and we have the same initials. And so it's all got the initials and everything in it. So he's got a cute little belt buckle and has a cowboy hat and just loves to be in the dirt, get dirty, and do boy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's nothing more you can ask for when you're a dad, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's the best. He's so nice. And he's just a little sweetheart. My little girl's awesome, too.
Yeah. Now, I find that myself, the word present is a word that, didn't mean a lot to me until probably the last 4 or 5 months, just through transitional things in my life. And just being able to be there, right? Our phones and everything's such a distraction. And then, you have your whole livelihood is right there. And obviously on hundreds and hundreds of acres of farm too. How do you go about accomplishing being present? What are some of your tips and tricks that you would give out to people just to be in the moment when you're doing whatever you're doing?
That's a tough question. I don't really know the answer to that other than I think it just comes with maturity.
Yeah.
As you get older, you're when I was younger, I was really driven to be I need to be the breadwinner. I need to work hard and I need to make money, or I need to build something for my family. And I really was able to get the snowball rolling. But now I just got to say, wait a minute, step back, really try to shut that stuff off, trust the people that are outside. But I mean, it's 24 hours a day, the farm and the distillery to a certain point too. So where I'm always getting phone calls and stuff like that. So you got to be present, but I got to answer those phone calls and things like that. So it's really a balance. And in the farm, especially, it's not when there's or if there's going to be a problem, it's when and how bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything's breaking down, things like that. And I'm really fortunate because a lot of times tractors will break down, things will break down on the farm. And if the guys know I'm busy or I'm with my family or whatever, they won't even call me. They'll just fix it, or they'll call the right person to get it fixed. They'll get a tire fixed. They'll do whatever. And And so I'm at a point now where I'm not the one doing that stuff. I've found really competent, capable people to do it for me. And that allows me to be more present with my family and, be there.
Yeah. So speaking of that, like, you have to find those in those 24-hour operations, right? Because you all are to the point where you all are growing at a huge clip from a distillery perspective, it seems like. And then the farm is the farm, right? Like that's on top of the distillery, right? That's what you all are known for, right? And I think you all are very fastly getting known for your whiskey across not just the country, but around the world for people who have tried it. Like, what's that like to be able to try to shut your brain off on those 24-hour operations? Like, for me, that would be very difficult because I know my job for the main part is 7 to, 7, let's just say. But it's really hard for me to like get away from my email or get away from those things. Like, how do you find those moments of solitude or moments to yourself to reflect in that 24-hour like life cycle environment?
You got to take a deep breath. You kind of think about everything. And I'm kind of fortunate in a way too, that I don't get bored because it's not the same thing. So it's still fun for me because, we're farming, we're distilling, and I'm a father. And they're all three like really like fun and inspirational, in different ways. And so for me, I just take a deep breath. I trust everybody that's out there. And I just kind of got this calmness that I didn't have when I was younger. I always felt driven. Like I had to be out there. I had to be present for the farm. But then I took a deep breath and thought, what's more important, like the farm or the distillery or my family? And really my family is the most important. And so I just take a deep breath and say, I got to be present here too. And I got to do stuff with my family and for my family and incorporate them into the farm. And eventually they're into the distillery a little bit, but not as much as like the farm, right now when they're so young, but eventually maybe into the distillery more as they get older. And I think that really helps me, compartmentalize it in my mind.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a ton of sense. And talking about that, like, how do you all like break away? Like, what's your all's like go-to, like if you're not doing farm and distilling, like what's your all's go-to thing to do as a family outside of those two things that are core to your all's life?
We're really lucky because we have a little house in Lake Tahoe and it's pretty close to the lake. It's one house off the lake. And, but we have this little homeowners association. It has a little marina where we have a boat we can put in there. And it has this nice homeowners association beach and a lot of beaches with nice restaurants and things like that. So we love to go there on the weekend. That's where we're going to go, maybe tonight or possibly tomorrow. And it's great because we're in Fallon, which is, the oasis in Nevada. So we're beautiful green fields, but it's right in the middle of the desert, Yeah. And then we go up to Lake Tahoe and there's just the beautiful water and there's big old trees and everything else. So it's only about an hour and a half drive from where we are, but it's a complete change of scenery.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to be able to get out there and just kind of refresh and restart and hang out with the kids and watch them play and catch crawdads and, go on the boat. And it's really cool.
You take them snipe hunting yet?
Yeah. Someday.
I feel like that's a rite of passage. If you know what it is, it's a rite of passage when your dad or your brother or whatever takes you snipe hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the lake is a lot of fun. So like with the fourth, like Lake Tahoe, I know is huge. Like, will it get crowded out there? Will there be enough space to kind of, do your thing?
It gets so crowded. And just the road going down to our house, the police block it off and you have to have a pass to get in. And it's right next to like a big public beach and it's just a zoo. But luckily our homeowners association beach gets pretty busy that time of year too. But we pretty much get everything. We have the house right there. We walk to the beach. We don't have to go anywhere. We jump on the boat. The lake's pretty busy on the boat wise too, but not as bad. So
yeah,
if we didn't own a place like right there, it wouldn't be worth going just because it's such a zoo. It's so hard to get to and everything else.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a ton of sense because like my in-laws who have a boat and a place on the lake near us, they will like avoid the lake like a plague on holiday weekends. Yeah. It's like, no, too many people, not going to do it. And so I'm like, okay, I mean, that's fine. I don't really want to drive an hour and a half either.
Yeah, the nice part about our place is they do these beautiful fireworks. They have like a big pontoon that shoots them off or barge right in the middle of the lake.
Oh, nice.
And you can only see them from certain parts of the lake. And our beach is like one of the best beaches to watch them. but we bought the place in August of 2019. And then 4th of July, 2020 and 2021, they canceled the fireworks just because of COVID. Yeah. So we're kind of excited this year to go up and see the fireworks for the first time.
Yeah, no, fireworks are great. So, you got your escape there. So like for you, like when you want to escape, like what's your escape? Like what's Colby do to like unwind and, take a step away from, all the things that life brings him?
Yeah. If it's not hanging out with my family, I really like to build things in the shop. And so growing up, my dad and I built several old cars, rebuilt cars. We built wagons literally out of wood, from scratch. We remodeled, probably 10 or 12 antique tractors. We built canyons and all kinds of stuff. And so I love to go and build things. So lately I built it's a hit and miss ice cream maker, a teeter totter out of old antique John Deere tractor parts from the 1930s. But I love to go and build things and kind of be creative. And I don't do it as much as I used to, just because I now I have kids and a family and stuff to pay attention to and that are really important to me. But that's what I really love to do, and I kind of miss it in a way. It's my way to some people have to get their creativity out, and it's my way to get that out.
Yeah. So what's your favorite car that you and your father built back in the day?
So we built quite a few. We have a 1934 Ford truck. It's been in the family since it was new. So that was pretty cool just because it's been in the family. But we built a 1937 Packard.
Oh, cool.
And we put an LT4 Corvette engine in it. It was the first one out of the factory. And so we built that, and that was cool. I did a 72 Chevy truck when I was in high school. And right now we're getting ready to put a new motor in it. So I just bought a new LS motor and automatic transmission. I rebuilt the motor in high school 24 years ago. I don't even know. But so we're going to remodel that for the second time. So I'm kind of excited about that.
That's exciting. And for those who don't know, we just were joined by Colby's better half, Ashley. And so, Ashley, thank you for, making sure those beautiful bottles can continue to be made and shipped to, the distillery, because Colby said you all were on a run to make that happen.
Oh, yeah.
So how are you doing?
Great. Just enjoying summer and looking forward to a long weekend. But yes, everything's going great. How are you?
I can't complain one bit. And I've been grilling Colby on things that, he finds in his time away, and how he separates the farm and distilling to make sure he's present as a father and as a husband. And so, just want to get you in on that conversation because you're in on all the operations too. And so what's it like to kind of be the quarterback of the house, with the kids and, especially wrangling Colby? I know how hard that is.
That's the real challenge. No, it's definitely hard. I think anybody who has, kids struggles with, spending time at home versus working and being passionate about your career and your family life. But I think we do a really good job balancing it, whether it's long weekends in Tahoe or we actually just got back from Hawaii on a nice little family trip, which was great. But
Ashley's wanted to go to Hawaii for the last 14 years. So we finally went and took the kids to.
Yeah, it was great. But, we like to include our kids in a lot of stuff, whether we're working in the office, we bring them over here and kind of, get them involved in the business as much as we can, not the tasting car, but bringing them over to the office, our whole team knows our kids and they don't cause too many problems. But, whether Colby's irrigating or planting or harvesting, our littlest, Charlie, loves to be right in the mix. He's only 6, but he tries hard.
Yeah, he's really good. And he just turned 6, but he's like our chauffeur on the golf carts. He loves driving tractors and everything. And, he's a good driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next time I come out to Fallon, I'm bringing my son because he just wants to see all the tractors and ride in them. He loves them. His favorite song is Blippi's Excavator song. So,
we know Blippi.
Nice, yeah.
Oh yeah. We're all about it. And I own very many fire engines and, backhoes and dump trucks and tractors. I own it all. But once he sees a big one, he's like, I want that. And I'm like, yeah, that costs way too much money for Dad. So, as Colby's doing, his things, like what's it like, for you got to balance all of that as well, because you're running the tasting program. I feel like you've carved out a great niche as being like a leading woman in whiskey, and there's a lot of them, but I feel like you're in that profile. Like, how do you balance that time for yourself and creating those like moments of, uninterrupted time for Ashley?
I think that's a great question. I think that when you love what you do, it's really hard to think of it as work, So I think whether I'm, in the tasting room or leading like a single barrel pick, that's fun for me. I mean, that is how I enjoy myself, and hanging out with our customers, doing the single barrel picks. Like, I look forward to that. Like, that's fun. But I think, one of the challenges for us is we live out here on the farm, so we don't really get that like go home and decompress moment. And that's why it is so important that we love what we do and that we really, embrace it and have fun with it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a ton of sense. I kind of, in a very lesser extent, like I literally walk downstairs into my office, and like, I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Like, if you don't love what you do, it's really hard, because for about 40% of Americans now have the opportunity to work from home, and you got to be able to at least like it, because if not, you're going to like go do your laundry or go do something else. And that'll distract from your work. So I think it's just always unique, because everyone's a little bit different. And I like to ask this question as kind of like the big aha of the podcast. And it's the piece of advice that you would give to people or to anyone about finding those moments to take a break, or to separate yourself from that work or your family, to make sure you're recharged for success. So ladies first. Sorry, Colby, even though I like you, Ashley gets to go first on this really difficult question that I just asked.
Yeah, I think it's a tough question, but I think just for us being entrepreneurs and leading a business and watching it grow, being able to say, like, I can't do it all, and accepting that you can't do it all, I think is really important. And then kind of on the same note, being able to hire a team underneath you that can slide in and help you with tasks so that it does feel like you're doing it all. So
it still gets accomplished. Yeah.
It still gets accomplished. Yeah. And I think that, we kind of follow that method on the farm and the distillery and in home life. And, whether we've got help at home with, our nanny or somebody to help us come clean the house, it's like, let them do that so then we can do the more important stuff. And I think that allows us to like really enjoy our jobs and our life and spend meaningful time with our kids, because we're not, doing laundry or run into the grocery store last minute. We can have other people do that. We can do the more important things with our family.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So Colby, you have a whole hard answer now that she gave a good one.
Yeah, she did all the good stuff, because that's what I was going to basically say is you really got to prioritize, and you really got to take a deep breath, and you got to recognize when you're lacking in certain areas. And so like when I know that I haven't been around the kids or Ashley much, you got to take a deep breath, let everything else go, and go do what's most important and prioritize. So I've really, like I said earlier, I've really learned to kind of prioritize that the family's most important here recently, and not be so driven on the farm and the distillery and everywhere else, and just try to be present. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what you said, especially because, 85% of our listeners are male, like pride, right? Like making sure we can admit that, hey, we need to stop doing what we're doing so we can go spend time with what's most important, right? Sometimes we get so focused in on the task at hand, and if we don't do that task or we don't do that job, no one else is going to do it as good as I am. But that's why you hire people. That's why you have a team, so that you all can be successful together. So I think that's, great advice, especially in today's age where everyone's just trying to roll up their sleeves and pick up themselves by their bootstraps and do it themselves. Like, we have to be dependent upon people around us. So I think that's amazing advice.
Yeah, none of it's worth it if your family and your home life isn't good, right? I mean, that's kind of why we do it all. That's why I worked so hard at the begin with, but then I didn't really prioritize my family. And so lately, I think I've really realized to stop, take a breath. The family is why I'm doing it. So why am I not putting them as my number one priority? You know what I mean?
No, I think that makes everything kind of come like full circle. And so I would be remiss not to ask one question about something that you all just did. And that was the single barrel rye release. I just wanted, your all's thoughts on how it went and how your all's following, appreciated that release. Cause I know it went quick based upon, I got an email that it was released and then I got an email that it was gone. And that was just like your last online single barrel. It went that quick too.
That was the online single barrel, went super fast.
Yeah. We released the single barrel rye in our tasting room a couple weeks ago. And I mean, we did a 2-bottle limit, but we had people lined up like hours and hours beforehand. And we released 3 barrels. We sold out all 3.
The line was huge. It was down the whole side of our distillery. And when I knew the guy at the end of the line, when he got to the front of the line, I went back out and the line was just as long, like with new people coming in. It was a wild day.
Yeah. But it was fun. Like you look at your watch and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 4 hours. And like people are still like getting through the line and, showing up and stuff. And those are the days that it's like, it just goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And so it's really well received. We've got a lot of awards with the rye.
Yeah.
Here recently again, and the bourbon too. But, and then we did a single barrel bourbon release online, and
it lasted like less than 2 hours.
Yeah. And the reason, so we did one maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and we said this Friday at 12 o'clock, we're going to release a single barrel. Well, we had like 600 people on our website all at once trying to hit buy, and it crashed the server it's a third party that we use for the fulfillment of all of our barrels. It crashed their server because there's so many people trying to get on it. And so this time we said, we can't do that again. We're just going to send out an email saying it's available right now. And it's still sold out in 2 hours. So 2 barrels.
Yeah, they trickled in a little bit more, but word spreads fast because people screenshot that on Facebook and, text their friends. But I think it worked better like that. And hopefully everybody got their single barrels, but we are doing a single barrel rye release on our e-commerce site this fall, and I think that's going to be really crazy.
And so we'll announce that in our email subscribers. So if you go to our website, you can sign up for the email. We're not too spammy or anything like that. But
no, I think you all do a great job. As someone that's subscribed to it, I like that it's a few. Like it's really not a ton.
Yeah,
it's not a ton. It's meaningful. It's meaningful emails, and I think that's really important. The last thing I wanted to share with you all, because I know the last time we did our podcast, we were releasing our single barrel, which sold out in 10 days. We wanted to let you know that we were able to raise $425 for Pinocchio's Moms on the Run. So we're working on getting that check out to them. So we're really excited, and we were really excited to partner with you all for a great cause, and look forward to other opportunities in the future to support the endeavors that you all are passionate about.
Well, thank
you. We really appreciate your support on that nonprofit and our Women in Whiskey campaign. And I think just talking about the Bourbon Lens single barrel, I still see people post on Instagram and tag us about how they love that barrel. So you guys did a great job picking that one, and Colby did a great job.
Yeah. Colby and team did a great job making it, and we did a great job drinking it. And
picking it up.
It was, Ashley was very influential in making sure that one happened. So, so we really appreciate that. We appreciate people with good palates.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I am so grateful for you all joining this episode of Off Hours with Bourbon Lens, just to get the behind the scenes of Colby and Ashley. And thanks everyone for listening to this episode. You can find out more about Bourbon Lens on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Bourbon Lens. You can find out more about Frey Ranch on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Ashley does the majority of responses there, and their marketing team behind them is phenomenal. You can check them out at Frey Ranch. And as always, thank you to our sponsor, Off Hours. You can check them at Drink Off Hours. And until next time, cheers.